Hello and welcome to this third part of the series, Death, Where is Your Sting? At the time of Jesus' resurrection, things changed. So in this section, I'm going to look at what happened to people when they died prior to that momentous event. Genesis 25:8. Then Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. Now Genesis is believed to have been written by Moses, and even back then there was some kind of expectation that there was something after death. Abraham, we are told, was gathered to his people. The clear suggestion is that Abraham's people, or those who had gone before him, are somewhere, gathered together in a group, and that Abraham went to join them. If they were simply dead and in their graves, then there would not be such a gathering. But the belief was that although they had died, they were also very much alive somewhere. We are told the same thing about Isaac and Jacob. In the case of Rachel, we are given a tantalising clue in Genesis 35:18. And as her soul was departing, for she was dying. This was while giving birth to her and Jacob's last son, Benjamin. At the time of death, a part of her departed, her soul. Where it went, we are not told now, but we will discover more later on. Job 19:25-27. For I know that my Redeemer lives, and at the last he will stand upon the earth. And after my skin has been thus destroyed, yet in my flesh I shall see God, whom I shall see for myself, and my eyes shall behold, and not another. My heart faints within me. So here, Job sets out his theology of death. And after my skin has been thus destroyed, indicates his expectation of dying. And, yet in my flesh I shall see God. He expresses his expectation of resurrection, and even to be in God's presence. Perhaps one of the clearest verses, though, is Isaiah 26:19. Your dead shall live, their bodies shall rise. You who dwell in the dust, awake and sing for joy. For your dew is a dew of light, and the earth will give birth to the dead. That is all just so plain. There is a definite expectation of resurrection at some time in the future. Now, in the time before Jesus, what happened when a person died? Ecclesiastes 12:7 tells us, and the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. So the context of this verse from the preceding verses is the death of a person. There is a reminder of our dust nature returning to the earth. But then there is that final phrase, and the spirit returns to God. The physical death does not destroy the spirit. One of the characteristics of man is that a person has three parts: body, the physical part, the soul, which loosely speaking is everything within our heads, and the spirit. In the Bible are many evidences of this, but perhaps the simplest to read is 1 Thessalonians 5:23. And may your whole spirit, soul and body be kept blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. The death we commonly refer to as that of the physical body, But what happens to the soul and spirit? For the atheist, there are very simple answers here. The spirit does not exist, and the soul instantly vanishes into oblivion or nothingness. For the Christian, though, there is a quite different and more complex story that ends with absolutely brilliant good news. At death, the physical body is vacated, then usually buried or burnt. The soul and spirit, though, carry on, as the Ecclesiastes verse above tells us. Ultimately, we return to God, or rather, not the we that is so familiar now, but the spirit part of us. Now that word spirit is the Hebrew word ruach, which can, but not always, include what we might call the soul. Either way, the point I want to draw from this is that the physical body decays and disappears at death, whereas the rest of the person continues. There is a consciousness that continues. Although the Ecclesiastes verse above says the spirit returns to God, that is a huge simplification. The Bible does, though, give us a bit more detail. As we saw earlier, Job clearly had an expectation of returning from death, so the soul spirit part of a person went somewhere for the time between death and resurrection. And I just want to remind ourselves that this section is only talking about the pre-crucifixion dying of a person. So that concludes the third part of this series, Death, Where is Your Sting? Thank you for watching.